Fox 61 News at 5 starts now.
Right now at 5, an arrest is made after a man is killed outside a restaurant. What we know about the suspect.
Breaks my heart. I feel like crying.
A community feels attacked. A Ukrainian church is vandalized and tells police why he did it. The latest in the investigation is ahead this hour.
It just boggles my mind, like how people could be this way.
A Fox 61 exclusive, restaurant employees frustrated, saying they haven't been paid in weeks. Their demands for answers and paychecks.
And a state house candidate is heading to court. We'll tell you what he's accusing election officials of doing during the primary race.
Well, good evening and thanks for joining us here at 5. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. We're in a weather watch alert tonight. A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for some of the state. We're taking a live look right now across the state. Hartford, Mohegan Sun, Middletown, and New Haven.
So let's send it right over to Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank for a first check on the forecast here. Rachel, we've been wanting rain to break this drought, but boy, it really has opened up on some people. Huh?
And you can even see on those cameras, it is all or nothing out there. Mohegan Sun is dealing with sunshine, and Hartford had the water drops on the lens. Too much of a good thing for some out there today, with a flash flood warning in effect for parts of Hartford, Tolland counties. There's also a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for New Haven County and also parts of Hartford, Tolland, and Windham counties. But before we jump in on that, a little bit earlier today, this was around 1:30, a water spout was actually captured. This is on the ferry here right off of Orient Point. So this was a tornadic water spout that happened between Orient Point and Old Saybrook. So thank you, AWEJ3, for sharing this video with us, which is an amazing capture. Here's where that tornado was located. Now let's get a closer look at the radar and show you where the storm is located right now. Middlebury up through Waterbury, seeing some very heavy rainfall, some lightning, and even some strong gusty winds associated with it too. You're seeing some of that hail being indicated right around Middlebury, around a ½ an inch in diameter possible. It's also nasty outside of the warned area with rain and vivid lightning in Southington. That's the one warned storm extending towards Bristol in about a ½ an hour from now. We'll say Meriden at about 5:35. And this is storm number 2 that has our interest. Heavy rain and lightning from Tolland down through Andover. Timing this part of the storm out, it's heading towards Ashford at about 5:42 and Hampton closer to 5 o'clock. So we'll continue to deal with these kind of scattered across the state as we head through the evening tonight. We'll be hit or miss in nature, and then we're back to dry and hot weather for the next couple of days. Another look at your forecast and watching these storms closely coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. New images tonight after a Ukrainian Orthodox church in New Britain was vandalized. And tonight, parishioners say they are feeling attacked as the war with Russia continues in their home country.
The suspect is behind bars tonight. Police say he admitted to the crime. Fox 61's Tony Black is live outside the church with more on how the community plans to move ahead. Tony.
Yeah, Brent and Sarah, you can still see the broken glass here at St. Mary's Ukrainian Orthodox Church in New Britain. Now, luckily, the stained glass wasn't damaged, just the protective layer in front of that. But the church community says they feel disrespected, especially as that war in their home country continues.
What they think, the church doesn't mean nothing to them?
A piece of Ukrainian community in New Britain damaged, hurting those who come to St. Mary's Ukrainian Orthodox Church for peace. Jaroslava Buchka has prayed here for nearly 60 years of its more than 100-year history.
I am in shock. I don't know even what to say.
2 of their windows were recently broken. A New Britain man remains in police custody for it.
We feel like attacked as a community.
Natalia Karachenko is on the church's executive board. She says this building is a place of community for Ukrainian people in the area.
Thank God it was just exterior cover, which serve its purpose.
61-year-old Wilfredo Rios admitted to breaking the windows. He told police he thought someone was after him and wanted to scare them off while relieving some anger. His arrest warrant also states he told police he was asked to leave a Polish bakery and wanted to retaliate against what he believed was a Polish church. Rios faces criminal mischief, breach of peace, and desecration of property charges. Police believe the New Britain man has a mental disorder.
It's no respect. I don't like this. This is horrible.
Ukraine will celebrate its independence Wednesday. It's been more than 6 months since Russia invaded. The two women say the day is more important this year to honor their history and want this church to continue making history in New Britain.
We want to pass it down to other generations like it was passed to us.
The church has to pay more than $1,000 to fix the windows. Karachenko says they have no other option than to come back stronger in New Britain.
I hope that people get together and fix this.
Rios remains in custody on a $2,500 bond. This is not the first time this year that this church has been damaged. They had another window broken earlier this year. They say they want to keep passing this church down to future generations as it was passed down to them. Live in New Britain, Tony Black, Fox 61 News.
Tony, thank you. And we have an exclusive story tonight. A local restaurant is accused of not paying their employees for weeks now. The Department of Labor is launching an investigation into those complaints. And tonight, employees of Donovan's Reef say they want the pay they are owed. Fox 61's Matt Karen spoke to them in Brantford and has more for us now.
Well, the State Department of Labor told me that employers who are found to have violated labor law can face fines and criminal penalties, but completing an investigation could take months. The doors are locked at Donovan's Reef in Brantford.
Paychecks stopped.
It just boggles my mind, like how people could be this way.
After working unpaid for weeks, the staff who met us outside the restaurant finally had enough.
I have no pay stubs. Like, I cannot vouch for an apartment. I cannot vouch for my livelihood.
Steve Synapsis owns the place. Workers say he's rarely seen.
It's very difficult to get in touch with them.
Hi, this is Steve. Please leave a message.
Ownership is not only accused of ghosting their employees, but clients too. Bride-to-be Brianna Bouget made a deposit and signed a catering contract.
I got an email from my planner saying Donovan's is closing. You're out of luck. I was told that I will be getting my $1,500 deposit back. I was not told when or how that would be the case.
Enter La Cucina, a neighboring catering business in town, to pick up some of Donovan's contracts.
Well, it's the right thing to do, to help everyone out.
Owners Greg and Joy Bozzi also happen to be former owners of Donovan's Reef. Steve Synapsis was their GM.
He was very determined and hard worker when he worked for us.
Fox 61 brought the story to the attention of the Connecticut Restaurant Association.
I'm learning about just through you, Matt, these employees have been working and they definitely should have been paid.
The Connecticut Department of Labor told Fox 61, upon receiving a complaint, investigators begin an inquiry, may audit employment, payroll, and other records, and may issue stop work orders to protect workers. Now, the owner, Steve Synapsis, did get back to me through a text message saying he'd be willing to talk about what happened, but right now is focused on, quote, getting staff paid and reimbursement for event customer deposits, calling what happened here a, quote, nightmare situation. Reporting in Brantford, Matt Karen, Fox 61 News.
All right, thank you, Matt. And new tonight, Waterbury police have made an arrest in connection to a homicide that happened outside a restaurant last week. Police have charged Joseph Whitaker in the fatal shooting of 32-year-old Deshard Santos. Santos was shot Thursday outside the Birdie's West Indian restaurant on North Main Street. He later died at the hospital. Whitaker is being held on $2 million bond.
Also new tonight, teachers and a former administrator are being accused of failing to report abuse and neglect of students in Plymouth. James Eschert, a former teacher at Plymouth Center School, was arrested for alleged inappropriate conduct with several young students. And tonight, Fox 61 obtained a letter sent to families saying arrest warrants have been issued for 3 other school employees and 1 former administrator. The letter says those employees failed to report the alleged abuse by Eschert. Eschert was arrested back in January and has pleaded not guilty. A pedestrian is struck and killed by a car in Wallingford. This happened last night just after 9 p.m. on Old Colony Road. Police say a driver was traveling southbound on a dimly lit section of the road when they struck that pedestrian. The victim is a woman between the ages of 45 and 55. She was taken to the hospital and later died. Police say the driver stayed on scene and is cooperating with police. They don't believe speed or alcohol were factors in the crash.
A jewelry store on the Berlin Turnpike was burglarized overnight. Weathersfield police say they responded to fabulous jewelry just after 1 a.m. Police say they searched the business, but the suspects had run from the scene before they arrived. No word on what was taken from the store at this point. The break-in is still under investigation, Anyone with information about this should contact police.
A Bridgeport State House candidate is heading to court. He says election officials mishandled the recount of his 127th District Democrat primary race.
Fox 61 political reporter Emma Wolfhorst joins us now with an update on this. Emma.
Brent, Sarah, Marcus Brown filed this appeal of his loss yesterday. Brown originally led this race by 5 votes on primary night, a margin so slim it triggered an automatic recount. But after this recount, election officials named a new winner with an even smaller margin. Brown's opponent, incumbent Jack Hennessy, victorious by a single vote.
I personally felt aggrieved by the actions of the election officials whose jobs it were to conduct a free and fair election.
This appeal, filed in Bridgeport Superior Court Monday, claims election officials improperly lost multiple absentee ballots, used a defective machine tabulator, allowed ballots to commingle, and certified election recount results while acknowledging the absence of at least 9 absentee ballots.
Now we have to pay for this out of our pockets and then go through this process potentially another time.
Brown originally beat Hennessy on election night by 5 votes in a 579 to 574 count. Connecticut law requires a recount if the margin of victory is within 0.5% or fewer than 20 votes. The Democrat primary had a 0.43% margin, triggering a recount. But during this recount, election officials misplaced 9 absentee ballots and, after an unsuccessful search for them, declared Hennessy the winner by a single vote.
It's unfortunate because it seems to me most of the votes that are missing just happen to be mine. We need to find those missing ballots that we believe are votes for me. And until that's done, we're not going to let it go.
I reached out to Hennessy. He said he hasn't seen the lawsuit yet, but added the city attorney will defend the actions of the election officials and result of the recount.
So do you feel in your eyes that you won this primary race?
We believe that if the votes were counted, every single vote was counted, we would win again in a recount. And we just want a fair election.
A hearing in this appeal case is scheduled for Friday, August 26th. Now, Brown made it clear he does support no-excuse absentee ballots and early voting, saying the more people who are allowed to vote, the better. But Brown is concerned about election security, suggesting stricter penalties for those trying to manipulate the system.
Well, Emma, with election security, could a situation like this happen again in November?
Well, Sarah, Brown definitely hopes not, but the state does expect to see more absentee ballots returned in the upcoming general election as requirements for those who can vote absentee are expanded this year. The state did split up a $1 million grant among Connecticut's 169 towns to help them process and count those extra ballots come November.
All right, thank you.